Have you ever felt like you keep attracting the same type of person into your life, whether in romantic relationships, friendships, or even professional settings? It's as if an invisible force keeps pulling you into the same situations, making you wonder if you are destined to relive the same experiences over and over. This repetitive cycle can be frustrating and painful, but according to Jung, it is not a coincidence. It is a reflection of something much deeper within us. Jung believed that the relationships we form are not random, but rather a mirror of our unconscious mind. The people we attract often embody aspects of ourselves that we have not yet fully acknowledged or understood. This means that if you consistently find yourself in toxic relationships, dealing with manipulative people, or feeling abandoned, it is not simply bad luck. Instead, these patterns may be the result of unresolved emotional wounds, subconscious fears, or unexamined beliefs that shape the way you connect with others. One of the key reasons we fall into repetitive relationship cycles is conditioning. From childhood, we absorb behaviors, expectations, and emotional responses based on our upbringing and experiences. If we grew up in an environment where love was associated with instability, emotional neglect, or even suffering, we may unconsciously seek out relationships that replicate these dynamics. Our mind perceives familiarity as safety, even when that familiarity is harmful. In other words, we mistake what is known for what is right, and so we continue to attract the same types of people because they fit into the emotional patterns we have come to accept as normal. Another factor that keeps us trapped in these cycles is our emotional wounds. Past experiences, particularly those that left a deep emotional impact, create unresolved pain within us. When these wounds go unhealed, they silently influence the way we interact with others. For example, if someone has a deep fear of abandonment due to childhood neglect or past breakups, they may unconsciously attract partners who are emotionally unavailable. This happens because their unconscious mind is trying to recreate the situation in an attempt to fix it. The paradox is that instead of healing, they keep reinforcing the wound by reliving the same painful experience. Additionally, psychological comfort plays a crucial role in maintaining these cycles. Even though we may consciously wish to change our relationship patterns, our unconscious mind resists change because it fears the unknown. Breaking free from toxic cycles requires stepping into unfamiliar territory, which can feel uncomfortable or even frightening. That is why many people, despite recognizing unhealthy patterns, struggle to make lasting changes. They are battling their own unconscious resistance to transformation. Understanding that these cycles are not mere coincidences, but rather reflections of our inner world is the first step toward breaking free. The key to change lies in awareness. By recognizing our patterns, questioning our beliefs, and Jung introduced the concept of the shadow to describe the hidden, repressed, and often ignored aspects of our personality. These are the traits, emotions, and desires that we reject, because they do not align with our conscious self-image or societal expectations. However, just because we push them into the unconscious does not mean they disappear. Instead, they manifest in our relationships, influencing the types of people we attract and the dynamics we experience. The shadow consists of everything we deny in ourselves: our fears, insecurities, suppressed anger, and even unacknowledged strengths. It is formed throughout our lives, shaped by childhood experiences, cultural conditioning, and personal beliefs. For example, if a person grows up being told that showing vulnerability is a weakness, they may repress their emotions and develop a tough exterior. However, their unconscious mind will seek balance, often drawing them toward people who openly express emotions, whether in a healthy or destructive way. Jung believed that when we do not integrate our shadow, we unconsciously project it onto others. This means that the qualities we refuse to see in ourselves often become the traits we notice, sometimes obsessively, in those around us. If you find yourself constantly frustrated by a particular behavior in others, there is a chance that this trait exists within you, but has been denied or suppressed. This is why we may be inexplicably drawn to certain people or deeply irritated by others. They serve as mirrors, reflecting back the parts of ourselves that we have yet to confront. For instance, if someone struggles with feelings of unworthiness but refuses to acknowledge them, they may attract partners who reinforce these feelings, perhaps through emotional neglect, criticism, or manipulation. On the other hand, a person who suppresses their need for independence might unconsciously seek controlling relationships that restrict their freedom, reflecting their internal conflict. These relationships are not random. They are the unconscious mind's attempt to bring repressed issues to the surface so they can finally be addressed. This phenomenon is also evident in toxic relationships, where people repeatedly attract emotionally unavailable, manipulative, or abusive partners. While it is never the victim's fault, there is often an underlying pattern at play, a deep-seated belief about love, self-worth, or security that must be confronted and transformed. Until the person acknowledges their inner wounds and integrates their shadow, they will continue to be drawn to similar relationships as the unconscious mind seeks resolution in familiar but harmful dynamics. So how do we break free from this cycle? The answer lies in shadow work, the process of bringing these hidden aspects into conscious awareness. This involves self-reflection, journaling, therapy, or even mindfulness practices that allow us to explore our suppressed thoughts and emotions. Instead of rejecting or fearing our shadow, we must learn to embrace it, understanding that every aspect of ourselves has value and purpose. Only by integrating our shadow can we break free from unhealthy patterns and attract relationships that align with our true, authentic selves. In the next chapter, we will explore how Jung's concept of synchronicity plays a role in shaping our relationships and guiding us toward personal growth. Have you ever experienced a strange coincidence that seemed too meaningful to be random? Perhaps you kept encountering the same type of person over and over, as if life were trying to tell you something. According to Carl Jung, these occurrences are not mere chance, but rather examples of synchronicity, a concept he described as meaningful coincidences that reveal deeper psychological and spiritual truths. In relationships, synchronicity often plays a crucial role in the patterns we experience, guiding us towards self-awareness and growth. Jung believed that our external reality reflects our inner world. When the same types of people or situations repeatedly appear in our lives, it is not accidental. It is our unconscious mind seeking resolution, healing, or growth. If you constantly attract emotionally unavailable partners, for example, it may not be bad luck, but rather an unconscious invitation to explore your own fears of intimacy or abandonment. The universe, or more precisely, your unconscious mind, presents these repetitive situations as a way to make you aware of something buried deep within you. Synchronicity also manifests in the form of lessons we refuse to learn. If we ignore the signs and continue repeating destructive patterns, life tends to intensify these experiences until we are forced to confront them. This is why people often feel like they are stuck in the same kind of relationship, job, or social dynamic. Until they recognize the underlying issue and make a conscious effort to change, the cycle will persist. It is as if the universe is whispering, then speaking, and finally shouting in an attempt to get our attention. Another fascinating aspect of synchronicity is how it connects us with the right people at the right time. Think about moments when you met someone who profoundly changed your perspective or helped you in an unexpected way. Perhaps you were struggling with self-worth, and suddenly you encountered someone who reflected your value back to you. Or maybe you were dealing with trust issues, and life brought you into a situation that forced you to either embrace trust or retreat into fear. These moments are not accidental. They are part of a greater flow of events designed to guide you toward personal evolution. Recognizing synchronicity requires a shift in awareness. Instead of dismissing repeated patterns as coincidence, we must begin to question, what is this experience trying to teach me? Why am I repeatedly encountering this type of person? What part of myself is being reflected in these interactions? The answers often reveal hidden fears, desires, or unresolved emotions that we have yet to face. To break free from negative cycles, we must stop seeing ourselves as passive victims of fate and instead take responsibility for the energies we attract. This does not mean blaming ourselves, but rather understanding that we have the power to shift our frequency and consequently our experiences. When we align with self-awareness, we stop attracting relationships that mirror our wounds and instead attract those that support our growth. In the next chapter, we will explore practical strategies to break these unconscious cycles, heal emotional wounds, and consciously reshape the types of relationships we invite into our lives. Recognizing that we unconsciously attract the same types of people and experiences into our lives is only the first step. The real challenge lies in breaking the cycle and shifting our internal patterns so that we stop repeating the same mistakes. While this process requires effort and self-awareness, it is entirely possible to change the kind of relationships we attract by addressing the root causes within ourselves. The first and most crucial step in breaking the cycle is self-reflection. We must take an honest look at our past relationships and identify the recurring themes. Ask yourself, what kind of people do I keep attracting? What emotions do these relationships bring up in me? Do I feel valued, abandoned, controlled, or unworthy? Recognizing these patterns helps uncover the subconscious beliefs that may be shaping our reality. For example, if you consistently attract emotionally unavailable partners, it may indicate a deep-seated fear of intimacy or a belief that you do not deserve love. Once we identify the patterns, the next step is healing emotional wounds. Many of our relationship choices stem from unresolved childhood experiences or past traumas. If we were raised in an environment where love was conditional, where emotional neglect was common, or where we had to earn approval, these experiences can create deep insecurities that unconsciously dictate our romantic and social choices. Healing. These wounds often involves inner work such as therapy, journaling, or meditation. Practices like inner child healing can be particularly powerful as they help us reconnect with and nurture the parts of ourselves that were wounded in the past. Another essential element in changing our frequency is setting boundaries. Many people who find themselves in repetitive negative relationships struggle with asserting their needs. They tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or emotional neglect because they fear rejection or conflict. Learning to set clear and firm boundaries is a transformative step in breaking unhealthy cycles. When we communicate our limits and refuse to accept less than what we deserve, we shift our energy and naturally attract people who respect and value us. Additionally, reprogramming subconscious beliefs is key to changing the type of relationships we attract. The subconscious mind operates based on the beliefs we have developed over time, many of which are limiting or self-sabotaging. If we believe deep down that love is painful, that we are not good enough, or that people always leave, we will unconsciously seek experiences that validate those beliefs. Using tools like affirmations, visualization, and cognitive behavioral techniques can help us rewrite these mental scripts and align with healthier relationship dynamics. Finally, raising self-worth and self-love is the foundation of attracting better relationships. When we truly believe we deserve respect, kindness, and emotional security, we no longer settle for toxic or unfulfilling connections. This means prioritizing self-care, surrounding ourselves with supportive people, and engaging in activities that reinforce our sense of value. Breaking the cycle requires consistent effort, but the reward is profound. Relationships that are based on mutual growth, respect, and emotional fulfillment. In the next chapter, we will explore how to consciously choose the right people to invite into our lives and create connections that align with our highest selves. Once we have broken the cycle of unconscious relationship patterns, the next step is to make deliberate choices about the people we allow into our lives. This is not about being overly selective or fearful of relationships, but about ensuring that our connections align with our true values, self-worth, and emotional well-being. When we become intentional about the people we engage with, we shift from attracting relationships by default to building them with awareness. The first key to consciously choosing the right people is self-awareness. Now that we understand our past patterns, it is crucial to recognize early warning signs and avoid falling back into old habits. This requires emotional honesty. Ask yourself, does this person bring out my best qualities? Do I feel safe, valued, and emotionally fulfilled in this dynamic? If we notice red flags, such as manipulation, emotional unavailability, or a lack of mutual respect, it is important to trust those instincts rather than ignore them in the hope that things will change. Equally important is the ability to recognize genuine compatibility. Many people enter relationships based on superficial attraction, social pressures, or emotional wounds rather than true alignment. Instead of focusing on chemistry alone, we must consider whether our values, life goals, and emotional needs are compatible. True connection goes beyond temporary excitement. It is built on mutual understanding, shared principles, and the ability to grow together in a healthy way. Another critical aspect of choosing the right people is energetic alignment. When we raise our self-worth and heal emotional wounds, we begin to attract individuals who reflect our new mindset. This is why inner work is so essential. Our relationships mirror our inner state. If we still struggle with low self-esteem, we may unconsciously allow relationships that reinforce those feelings. But when we cultivate self-love and confidence, we naturally gravitate toward people who uplift and support us. One of the most powerful tools for making conscious relationship choices is setting standards, not walls. Some people, after experiencing toxic relationships, become overly guarded and push away potential connections out of fear. While it is important to be cautious, it is equally vital to remain open to new possibilities. The goal is to create a balance, protecting ourselves from unhealthy dynamics while remaining receptive to those who genuinely align with our values. Additionally, communication and emotional intelligence play a fundamental role in choosing and maintaining healthy relationships. Many conflicts and misunderstandings arise not from a lack of compatibility, but from poor communication. When we express our needs clearly, listen actively, and resolve conflicts with emotional maturity, we create deeper and more fulfilling connections. A healthy relationship is not one without problems, but one where both individuals are committed to resolving them with respect and understanding. Ultimately, choosing the right people is an ongoing process. As we continue to evolve, so will our relationships. The key is to remain self-aware, honor our worth, and build connections that reflect the love and respect we have cultivated within ourselves. By doing so, we transform our relationships from unconscious patterns into conscious choices, creating a life filled with deeper, more meaningful connections.